Again, congrats on the worldwide success. Not even just like local success. Like it's not just like a tight knit sort of fan base. It's worldwide. I mean, I've seen all the stuff you've been retweeting, and obviously Shudder retweeting, and the Rotten Tomatoes score. I mean, I guess you never could have imagined this in a million years, could you?
No, I mean, like because we were making it for Shudder, um, we really imagined we were making it for kind of a hardcore subset of horror fans. Like those are really it was really the horror fans that we had in mind when we were making it. We wanted to do something that was going to be surprising and it was going to just give them a kind of fun, scary ride during lockdown. And the fact that it's kind of entered the public consciousness in this amazing way, and that people have been responding to it so well is kind of mind-blowing. And still, I don't know about you, Jade, but like it still kind of doesn't feel like it's quite landed.
Yeah, it's a real weird one, because it's been a week now since we released it, a week in one day. And like, if this last week it might be because I haven't been sleeping very much, but it does feel like a waking dream, and it doesn't feel real at all. And the funny thing is the whole thing kind of spawned from our WhatsApp group, which is called Quarantine Movie Club, which we made just to watch movies every day during quarantine. And the same people are still in that group, maybe a couple of new additions, but we're still just talking crap all day. So like, it's no difference.
Weird thing, isn't it? That's the weird thing. It's like,
yeah,
we were hanging out with these people on Zoom at the start of lockdown. Then we decided to make a movie on Zoom, and now the movie's out and we're chatting about it on Zoom, and like we still haven't really left our houses, so it feels very detached. I still feel quite detached from this kind of crazy response.
Yeah.
It's a weird
I think
way
it'll kick in one day.
release a movie. It's a weird way to release a movie, but it's kind of perfect for this film.
Absolutely, and it's a really unique sort of experience for all of you. Also, just on a side note, you mentioned about a waking dream and everything, and I just can't help but look who's behind Rob. So that's,
that's
maybe he's got something to do with it. But yeah, that's the thing. And Rob, I was saying to Jed beforehand, like the idea to make a film during lockdown, it takes such a creative. A team of creative minds to do that. So to take that fun idea of wanting to do a movie with friends, and now for you guys, it's become your smash hit. Like this, I think it's safe to say that when as your career continues, and obviously you're working with Sam Raimi soon, which is amazing. I'm very jealous, but that's the thing. I think a lot of people will remember you for this initially, obviously before you do your next work. And that's a good thing, because another thing that I loved about Host is it's embracing new technology and this screen life genre, which I think is a natural progression of your Blair Witches, and your Paranormal Activities found footage. It's just that natural progression as technology develops. And I think that's, found footage sort of developed from one thing, and then this is a development of that. So yeah, I think that that alone is something that you have to be really sort of up to speed with everything to make this sort of thing work, and you did. It's a perfect length. I think that
agreed.
I know a lot of people have obviously compared it to Unfriended, which is a natural thing to do.
Yeah,
but I think
we actually really like it.
We really like Unfriended.
I like Unfriended as well. Yeah, absolutely. I think Unfriended is great, and it's kind of one of the pioneering films of this sort of development subgenre. But I think what makes this better than Unfriended, I'm going to say that now, absolutely better than Unfriended, is the concise runtime, because it allows for natural character progression. Nothing overstays its welcome. And it's very, it gets into things very quickly. Whereas I feel like Unfriended, as good as it was and as interesting a concept, it did slightly overstay its welcome, even though I think it was only an hour 20. But even then, it kind of lost its charm towards the end a little bit. But
The thing with Unfriended, and again, like Unfriended's a different beast, and I fucking love it. But like
Mhm.
Unfriended, I think kind of felt like it was halfway between the kind of realism of something like Blair Witch and a more conventionally structured kind of studio movie.
Yeah.
I think the script was really clever. The way that they used all the different interfaces was really clever.
Yeah.
But there are moments in it that feel like movie moments, which is great, and that's why it's so fun and it kind of like rocks along.
Yeah.
But with Host, we really wanted to, our kind of true north on the project was what feels authentic, what
Absolutely.
feels grounded, and anything that felt like a movie moment or anything that felt too convenient, from script stage, we nixed it, and we kind of always went with, well, what's the most grounded take on this?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And there were moments that we had in the script that we tried to shoot that felt a bit more scripted or a bit more like kind of conventional movie beats that you'd expect from a full length feature, but they just didn't work. It always felt like less
it was too forced.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like me and Rob are essentially students of horror. Like we talk about horror all day, every day with each other, and we love found footage movies, and we were very careful with how we constructed this to make sure it wasn't just a hackneyed, cliched found footage movie, because there's lots of those out there. In the wake of Blair Witch, there was thousands of copycats. So what we tried to do is make something that was paid homage to the classics, but also gave it a new spin and for 21st century mentalities. But regarding the Blair Witch, you may have noticed that we had some similarities in terms of the characters using their real names, which helped to add to the authenticity, and also really how the kind of script was constructed and how Rob kind of directed them was very much like the directors of Blair Witch, in terms of they didn't have a proper full script. They had beats, and to get from point A to point B in the best way possible. And I guess the best way possible is through experimentation, through Rob doing multiple takes till the right thing happened, and that felt natural and right.
Yeah, and we held back a lot of stuff from them as well. Taking a cue from the Blair Witch Project. None of them had full scripts. They only had their scenes. So they didn't know when people were going to die. They didn't know when the scares were going to come. So we got a lot of natural reactions that way.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's the best way to do it as well, because like you said, that keeps it grounded. It keeps it in within the confines of the real world. Obviously, there's supernatural elements, but there's it really is sort of it's a piece that if somebody was to find this footage, they could think, hang on a sec, some serious shit is going on,
Yeah, they made a snuff movie.
Yeah. So, that there's, and also as well, I think having their real names as well probably made it a much more natural experience for the actors as well, sort of, rather than having to think, right, I've got to remember to call her this or her that, so it just really brought everything together. And they have brilliant chemistry. I know a lot of them have worked together in the past, obviously with you. I actually I sought out some of your short films. I want to say that I love the concept of Dawn of the Deaf. I think it's great. You need to make it into a feature. Please do. And also what I love about it is that you guys are British. It's really put, I think it's really sort of reinstated British horror back to where it needs to be. I love the fact that you got James Swanton on board. I think him. He's great. Also, I loved his work in Salt. I watched Salt last night.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's another really short, concise story, which I think could be great as like a longer short film or a feature for sure. So James is sort of, again, one of these. I like to think of him as kind of the Doug Jones or Javier Botet of
a good comparison.
Of British horror. So he's kind of putting his stamp on the playing the creature within that. And I love I mentioned to you guys the other day how much I think that Rec is a terrific. So
love Rec.
Yeah. I see again a lot of a lot of inspiration came from Rec.
Yeah.
And I did see as well that obviously the concept for this initially for Host, you were on a Zoom call and you played a little prank.
Yeah. So like I'd been kind of hearing weird noises in my attic. Like genuinely, I'd been hearing weird noises in my attic, and I told all of the guys about it, and they'd just been taking the piss out of me. And then lockdown happened. And suddenly I was like stuck in this house with potentially a serial killer living in my attic. So I decided I should probably go and check it out. So I got all of my friends on a Zoom call. I tested this out on JED beforehand, and
He's in
basically got all my friends on a Zoom call.
Didn't work on me though, did it?
Emotional
Didn't work
support.
on me.
Well, I didn't try it on you. I said I was going to do.
Yeah,
a
you
prank.
just yeah.
I was gonna say, but you would have probably recognised the panning shot. You'd be like, hang on a sec, I know what's up here.
Well, I could just tell what was happening. I was like, okay, but no, it was more he was just going through the motions to see if it would work on our friends.
Yeah.
But I ended up I had to do a little thing where I put my hand in front of the camera and hid a little transition from filming in real life to filming my laptop screen, and then I played them a clip from Rec, and they freaked the fuck out.
Yeah,
which was great, and it there's a lot of that kind of prank aesthetic which made it into the final movie. A lot of the scares we held back from the cast so that we could play it to them, just like I played the prank video to them.
I think what's great about horror as well is that you've got these core diehard horror fans like ourselves, and we're the kind of people who I like to think in a lot of cases we have no fear, but then there are some films that do sort of make us curl back a little bit, which is the telling of a strong horror film. And I did find myself a lot of the time I watched it on my laptop screen, I thought this is kind of guessing that was the core experience you wanted to watch, is watching it on a screen with headphones. And I did find myself at various moments sort of going back a little bit like, what are they going for here? I'm not sure. I couldn't quite guess. But there are moments where the way the camera was positioned, I was looking in the background for any little bit of background detail. And I think that's what's great about this is you've got those viewers there, but you've also got you kind of more casual horror fans who are watching through their fingers, or they're so focused on what the characters are doing that the scares really do come out of left field because they don't even see those subtle moments in the background.
That's the thing in horror films, and the use of negative space is scarier than actually having something there, because the fear of the unknown is the most powerful fear there is. If you can see something, then you can almost like your brain can figure out how to kind of hide from it or to fight it. But if you don't see anything, if it's just negative space, you don't know what you're up against, and that's the biggest fear of all, looking into the void.
I think that was really important to us, that it was a movie that you can throw this movie on a Friday night, crack a beer, and just enjoy it as a straight kind of roller coaster ride. And then if you went back and watched it again, there'd always be things that you can pick up, and it would always kind of reward repeat viewing.
I'm still so surprised that it's like mainstream. It's like because like we're horror guys, and when you're seeing the New York Times and Empire magazine, even though the Empire magazine does cover a lot of things, and Starburst magazine, even like we didn't think it would go mainstream. We thought it would just be this little film hidden away on Shudder. But that's just definitely not the case. It's crazy.
I'm guessing a lot of people have signed up for Shudder as well because of it. They probably heard the buzz and everything, and
it seems that way. We keep getting tweeted off, just join Shudder for your film.
I think it's done well for Shudder, and I mean, hats off to them for being so supportive, because really we didn't have a script, we didn't really have anything beyond the initial concept. They signed on and kind of gave us complete trust, and and we're just totally supportive throughout the process of us figuring it out as we made it.
So how did that sort of that relationship and that bond with Shudder begin?
We've been talking to them for a while about trying to find something to do. I mean, they'd seen our short films, which again, we're really keen to get those on Shudder, because it's a great platform, I think, for discovering short films.
I think we've got a chance now.
After this, yeah.
Yeah, basically, you know, we had a lot of people after the prank video went viral. We had a lot of people asking, you know, can we do something else in the space, something longer? Can we do a TV special or something like that? You know, and Shudder were really the only company who came forward and got what we were trying to do with this. You know, they were the only ones that understood that we couldn't just kind of apply a conventional production schedule onto this, that this needed to be something that was a bit rock and roll and a bit
Raw.
you know, being made, something that was being made on the fly and figured out as we went along, and they were absolutely on board for the condensed production schedule that we had in mind. They really wanted to get it out as soon as possible. You know,
capitalize on it. Yeah.
Yeah, we had production companies and studios coming and saying, we want to get this out really fast. You know, we'll have it out in 6 or 7 months. And we're like, no, we need this out in 6 or 7 weeks.
I was thinking it has to be July, Rob. It has to be July. But that's the great thing about Shudder. Like, all these other places were like asking for us to do it for them, but Shudder's got a platform. Shudder has a built-in platform, and I can't think of another company that would have given us the chance based on. We only had a two-word kind of pitch, which was Zoom Seance, which is something I text just in the midst of a 4 a.m. just I don't know, before I went to sleep. I just text Rob and said Zoom Seance, and then that's what he ran with and pitched to Shudder, and they were so kind and have been so kind ever since. Really, I can't stress enough how much Rob he's almost created the infrastructure that now any other kind of film show in lockdown will kind of use, because like to start from zero, from not having anyone have done this before really, to coming up with something like Host is crazy, and that's down to Rob and our producer Douglas Cox, who is
massive.
Yeah. So hopefully, if there are other British filmmakers that make films during lockdown, and I'm sure there's going to be the next proper lockdown coming up, hopefully they can see that this is doable. And like we're not like the type of people that will just hold on to the secrets. We want to show people how we did it. So we filmed everything, and we will show people how we did it.
So I know that films that have been on Shudder, some have got like special Blu-ray releases. So, you know, maybe hopefully we can get a special Blu-ray release for Host in the future with all your behind the scenes stuff. And fingers crossed for that.
We've got a ton of behind the scenes stuff that we
I bet.
Can't wait to get out there. And you know, I think just to follow on from what Jed was saying, you know, the realization that we had at the very beginning of this process was that rather than being a limitation, the fact that we were shooting this remotely actually opened up the entire world to us. Anyone that had an internet connection could be our collaborator. And I think if people start to see that as a positive, there's kind of no end to what can be done. And I think people can go above and beyond what Host did by using that same approach.
Yeah.
And I like to think of this, and it's only a week later I'm starting to dawn like what we've done. It is like our love letter to the horror films we love, and our love letter to found footage. And hopefully in the years to come we will have something that stands up alongside the likes of Blair Witch and Paranormal Activity, and especially Lake Mungo, because it's one of the most underrated found footage horror films ever. And I think that's a big influence in this film as well. Just genius.
I think that's a lesson that any filmmaker can take, pandemic or otherwise. Like, you know, I know a lot of filmmakers who just don't create enough content. They sit around and they wait for the ideal circumstances for them to make their movie. And the fact is, the ideal circumstances don't exist. It'll never come along, and you'll have to compromise, or you'll have to figure out workarounds to whatever the universe throws at you. And it normally 9 times out of 10 will make your movie better by rolling with the punches and figuring something out that maybe isn't what you had in your mind originally. but actually that kind of spark of chaos, it ends up in the DNA of the movie, and it ends up making a better movie.
And one of the things that, like Rob said, that this lockdown situation we used as an advantage rather than a disadvantage,
Yep.
is the fact that we got to use our friends for cast and crew. We used, and they just happened to be the best people for the job as well. We're just lucky that our friends are good actors. Otherwise, this could have been a whole different story. And just the fact that our friends are getting a lot of attention, and the actors who've been in all our little short films and who've made short films themselves, now these actors are getting their dues, and they're the most talked about actors in the world right now, which to me is crazy, because we just tell stupid jokes on WhatsApp, and now they've been interviewed on Fox, just like live on Fox. It's crazy.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. No, that's so amazing, because you've opened the door for yourselves and for them. I mean, I think all the performances were great, but I think for me, I thought Caroline was amazing.
Yeah.
And I thought she was amazing in Dawn of the Deaf as well.
I think they've all got such amazing talent, and as a group as well, they've got such a great chemistry, which is
absolutely.
Yeah, and also different as well, which is, it's not like you've got two people that are approximately the same in their style of acting or looks or anything really. They're all like their own people, and that's why the internet has kind of run with like, which host girl are you, because everyone's like different. We couldn't have cast a better like set of leads.
Emma hiding under the sheets and everything. That was kind of like
that's me.
that was really that's a great comparison to Blair Witch as well. The snotty nose, like camera facing up moment as well.
Yeah. She hadn't watched the Blair Witch until like we made her, basically.
Really? Wow. Okay. I bet that really hit her up as well.
Yeah.
So apart from Blair Witch, and we talked about Unfriended and Lake Mungo and Wreck, what other sort of classic horror films, doesn't have to be found footage, what other sort of classic films really got you into this wonderful genre?
Well, obviously, I need to shout out Ghostwatch, because when I first saw Ghostwatch, I bought a crappy copy off eBay, because remember it was bound in the UK for a long time, and Stephen Volk, the writer, I think he is an underrated genius. He should have an MBE. He should have all the awards. His writing in that, and the way he constructed that, along with the director Leslie Manning, is incredible. Like, this was 1992 this came out, and they basically almost invented the found footage genre. There might have been a couple before that, but they put everything in place there, is what the Blair Witch kind of used, and Paranormal Activity used, especially Paranormal Activity. And to have Stephen Volk, the writer of Ghostwatch, a couple of days ago, come out on Twitter and say, it scared him shitless. You guys have made the new Ghostwatch. Like, me and Rob were just like giddy, absolute giddy. Crazy.
Amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, Rob, what were your influences going into this?
I think a big one that like not enough people talk about it, and I don't think enough people. There's a movie that I love called The Innocents from the 1960s, which I don't think enough people talk about it as just a really fucking scary horror movie. It's kind of talked about as a classic, and I don't think it gets enough plaudits, but it's really effective in how it puts its scares together. It's just as ingenious as the more kind of obviously celebrated horror movies from around that time. It's a kind of classic ghost story that really has a modern approach to how it sets up and executes the scares. The thing that really struck me about The Innocents is the way that Jack Clayton, the director, and Freddie Francis, the cinematographer, the way that they use the widescreen frame, the way that they dress in hidden details into the corner of a shot that your eye will just catch fleetingly. It's really, it's really doing what Mike Flanagan did in Haunting of Hill House.
I love Haunting of Hill House.
Yeah,
I know that
it's The Innocents, isn't it?
know that Mike really loves The Innocents, and it's one of those movies. It's one of those movies where you go in and it's from the 1960s and it's black and white, and you assume it's going to be a little antiquated, and it's totally not. It totally fucking holds up, and it's still scary as shit, and it's brilliant, and it's layered, and there's subtext, and there's richness, and it's just one of the best movies ever made, and I don't think enough horror fans talk about it.
Yeah, and talking of 60s movies, influences, the 1967 movie Wait Until Dark.
Yes, I love that. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, that's another one that people don't talk about, but that is the blueprint for every Blumhouse movie, because
absolutely,
it has all of the hallmarks. It's a home invasion movie done so well, and having Audrey Hepburn as the lead is a stroke of genius. And you can see influences in Host as well. That final sequence with the camera is straight out of Wait Until Dark, and Audrey Hepburn using light and dark to kind of like scare, or to kind of get through that particular thing. Love it. More people should talk about Wait Until Dark.
Just going back to Host, I think that's why having it set on a computer screen, having it on a streaming service at home, even if it wasn't in the pandemic, I think it would have the right place for it was a streaming service like Shudder, because it's an experience which I think needs to be experienced on either on your own or in a very, very tight-knit group in a small space, rather than that open space. Because I think it would probably lose some of that claustrophobia, or that, lose a lot of its charm.
Right. I mean, it was made for this current moment when we're all locked down, we're all in the same situation as the characters, and I think hopefully it'll become a beer and pizza movie 5 years down the line when we're on the other end of this, but I think hopefully it's kind of a fun roller coaster that will stand up beyond lockdown. But
I'm sure it will be.
This is the ideal situation to watch it in, when we're all bouncing off the walls and isolating alone.
Again, going back to what I said about horror being that natural genre that can adapt to the scenario of the real world and the creative minds behind them. That's what I think is great. Somebody in 5-10 years time will come up with another way to sort of take a spin off of Host and create something unique that way. And that's only natural, and that's a great thing.
It will be virtual reality probably in 10 years time. We'll be living
probably
a VR seance where a VR ghost will get conjured.
We are looking into it to doing a VR project, so
that would be
it could still be us. Yeah.